reservation. Some of us do pay taxes because we know that in the long run it'll pay off, and we'll get money during tax time. So yeah, we pay taxes. We aren't tax exempt. When we live off the reservation and we're in Canada, we are Indian status, but we aren't exempt from anything. So if you think that I don't pay taxes, that I get all this free schooling, I don't. And most of these free education programs, they want you to be in the program for it. Like, you have to pay for it yourself or find a way to pay for it the first year, and then maybe, just maybe, they'll approve you for funding if you get through that first year, if you can even get the money to get to that first year. So I work, I pay taxes, I don't get free money. I mean, yeah, the most I get is $150 a year at Christmas. But being off my reservation, I don't get anything. I just have this stupid fucking status card that says I'm Indian status. That gets me tax free smokes and tax free gas. But if you honestly think that that makes up for the genocide of my culture, it, buddy, like, give your head a shake. No. If you saw my other videos, you'd know that I will give all of that to you. You could have it all. Just give me my language. You know, in the schools across Canada, they finally are more like encouraging that we learn our native tongue, but most of our elders are dying, so a lot of this stuff is online, and we're not getting taught the proper way. And I see all these other cultures, all these other people, you know, Africans, actual Africans, Somalians, they all know their language. They all know it. These Latins, these Spanish, Filipinos, French, German, Swiss, they all know their language. I don't. I don't. The schools, the schools took that. They took it from my mom and they drilled into her head that being a native was bad. So she taught us that growing up. And I'd give anything to have my language. Anything. You want my left arm, you want my left leg, right leg, you want my kidney, I will give it to you if you can give me my language. So if you think that we are getting all this free stuff, we're not. I wouldn't be working so hard if I did. I wouldn't be trying to make this protest happen. I wouldn't be fighting for this. These views on my people need to change. And that's why I'm doing this. So people will stop looking at us in disgust and hate and understand that we're wounded. We're wounded from the schools, we're wounded from the government, and we're wounded by the community because y'all just sat back and watched us kill ourselves for so long and just ignored us and swept us under the rug like we were nothing. Y'all stepped over me when I was homeless. Y'all, y'all weren't there. And now you're there, but you're not. A lot of you are part of this movement because you're just jumping on the bandwagon and you think being black is cool. And I'm not trying to offend my black friends, community, whatever. I'm just saying the truth that some of these white people just want to be cool. And being black is cool to them, but being indigenous is disgusting because they have this misconception, this stereotype, this ideal that we get all this free stuff, this free health care, and we're just crying and bitching and complaining when we're fighting. Some of us are fighting harder than we've ever fought. Do you know how hard it is for my people to get work? My auntie lives in Airdrie, Alberta, and she is a hard worker. But nobody wants to hire an indigenous person in Airdrie. Nobody wants to hire an indigenous person in any of those small towns outside of Calgary. Because that's where racism has been hiding in Canada. These small towns in Canada where they hire only white people, or they'll hire minorities to make it look like they're not racist, but they are, because they'll treat these minorities like shit. And I've witnessed this firsthand. A lot of the last restaurant that I worked at, little old Spanish lady. No, she's not even old. Little Spanish. I'm sorry, Mama. If you see this, just know that I saw it. They treated you like garbage because you're a woman and you're a foreigner, and they know that they can get away with that kind of stuff here in Alberta. They can abuse foreign workers because they won't say anything because they don't want to lose their job and they don't want to go back to where they came from. Wake up. Wake up, Canada. That's what goes on. That's why these small town communities in Canada they're prevalently white because they only hire whites, or they'll hire one minority to show that they're not racist, but a lot of them aren't native. So it's hard for us to get work. It's hard for us to, because we have to work harder. I do. I have to work harder than the guy beside me because a lot of my bosses have had that in their mind that I get free shit and I'm just a lazy Indian. And I'm lucky to be working for them, so they'll pay me $15 an hour or whatever minimum wage is because I get all this free stuff when I don't. I'm doing the same job as the other guy, and I have 10 years of experience, and he's got maybe 5. He's getting $2 more than me. He's getting more in tip out, and I'm making minimum wage. Do you know what that's like? And people wonder why, like, some of us indigenous people hustle, why we try and sell everything to make a buck. Because we're trying to survive. Do you think I wanted to sell drugs? Do you think I wanted to sell all that crap? No. I want a good paying job. I want employers that will actually care about me and not hire me because I'm an Indian, because they need to look good for the community, because they only pay you minimum wage and they don't want to fucking tip you out, and they don't want to take care of you because they think you get all this free stuff. When you don't. We don't. I don't. So just stop. Stop thinking all this crap. Stop thinking that we get all this free crap. My band doesn't help me. The government doesn't really help me. Most people that have these negative stereotypes of all this free money and we're a bunch of lazy Indians aren't helping. The people that are just jumping on the bandwagon and not getting the information aren't helping. Nobody's helping. And what do you want us to do? We grew up in a fucked up system, and you expect some of us to act normally when we don't know what normal is. You expect us to come out in society and pay bills and do all this stuff, but you know, my mom went to the residential school that closed in 1980. I was born in 87. The amount of trauma that my mom was dealing with in 87 from the residential schools is horrendous. And not just the schools, the 60 scoop. She was part of that too. In between going to residential school and she was supposed to go home for holidays like Christmas, summer, spring break, whatever. My mom would go to a foster family where she was made to sleep in the basement on a dirt floor in a potato sack with the dogs. She was forced to do labor on this farm and was raped by her foster dad that was assimilating her daily. And you expect us to come out of stuff like that normally? To brush that stuff off? To not think about it? To not have that trauma? To not have that fear? I really hope you don't think after this video that we indigenous people get free stuff, that you know we're all lazy, that all this stuff is awesome, because it's not. Because honestly, if we did get all this free stuff, none of us would be working, none of us would be living out in the city. We'd all be back on the res, okay by ourselves, because we're okay by ourselves outside of the community, but a lot of us leave that community and we're by ourselves. My own people, when I go back to the res, any res, I'm treated different, like an outsider, because I didn't grow up there and I don't know what it's like. We need to break that stereotype between each other, that whatever it is, and we gotta come together. I don't know what else to say, man. Just, there you go. We don't get free shit. If you really want to know, just talk to us. A lot of us, that's all we need. Some of us, just someone to talk to. And if you want to know more about my traditions and whatnot, tell me. Ask me. I can walk you through it. I can talk you through it. If you're in Edmonton, I can come do it with you. I want you to know me, and I want to know you, your culture. We gotta break these barriers and get through all of this shit so we can make the world a better place. And even if it's only a couple of us doing this, it's making the world a better place. So let's just focus on that. Till next time. Have a good day.